All right. Ma'am Deliwe Jele.
Yes.
We are here today, Outreach Perspectives. We are interviewing Shalom Christian College. And ma'am, you are the headmaster of this college.
Correct.
Now, today it's a very special day for me because I remember I gave school here for 1 year, not here, another premises.
Mm-hmm.
And this school is very close to my heart. I always keep you in my prayers and keep the school in my prayers. And I just want to know, where did it all start? What happened to you that you decided to start a school? Nobody just starts a school. I mean, who starts a school? But you started a school. Where did it start?
Yes. Wow. It's very easy but difficult to answer that question. Because let me just say, it starts from the heart, number one. But before then, I got to be a teacher, and I was a teacher much later than, other people, because I got married first before I went to school. And then I realized that I'm just sitting and I'm struggling, stretching to get a job. And then I went back to the college. I was admitted and I did my years. It was like 4 years then. And I finished, then I got a job in a school. There's a funny thing, when actually I started to work, I got so much, my heart was so much on children, and I just saw what was happening right then with the kids and in public schools. There's actually one thing that I want to bring forward that actually touched me more than anything as I was busy teaching those kids. I realized that there would be kids with actually learning problems. And those kids would not be taken care of. They would just be treated generally like any other kid.
Yes.
And remarkably, there was one boy, I would actually name him Obed. He was almost the oldest of the boys in the school. And that boy could not learn, could not write his name, could not write one word in English. He was such a problem. But he was so good. Obed would come to my home and would do the garden. And he would do it so nice. He loved me. And I would give him something to eat and we would talk. But Obed could not write, could not read.
Same.
And there was nothing that could be done to help Obed. Every teacher felt like Obed is a problem. And
a burden.
A burden, yes.
Yeah.
And after every year, Obed would be not condoned, but be taken into the next grade. And the teacher will always say it much more openly to you and say, let him be your problem next year. He was my problem this year. That thing touched my heart so much. I felt in my heart, is there anything that could be done for kids like Obed? Is there because I feel like just giving more attention to what the problem is may help this boy. It really, really touched me. And it started to work on me. That's when it all started to work on me.
Okay. That's wonderful. So God gave you compassion. The first thing he did, he gave you compassion.
He gave me compassion.
Teaching people that's got a learning disability.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
And then from there, John, you want to ask a question there?
I'm fascinated by this. We were just talking about this in the car coming up, because one thing, I did some adult education quite late stage in my life, and I discovered that young men, particularly, who have been off as being too thick, too stupid, when you get along and start teaching them something, you find they're quite bright. And I discovered that people learn in different ways.
Yes.
And as soon as I did that, I modified my teaching to accommodate the learning styles.
Yes, right.
Then, boom, it changed completely.
Yes.
And I just wonder how many men, particularly men, branded as being too stupid to do anything. And really, it's just that it's really the teachers who are too stupid.
Yes,
I
yeah,
put it
yeah,
that
yeah.
way, you know. So
No,
it's
it's
fascinating.
generally true. I mean, I've taught at the school, and I found myself also that girls are your best students.
That's right.
Oh, they work, they do their homework, and they study,
They need.
and they give me an apple, and they like you. And the boys see how naughty they can be and how little they can do, the least they can do to get away with.
That's right, yeah.
And that always fascinated me. Ma'am Jelle, but then from there, what happened then? Did you go into a house or did you register as a school, or what developed from that compassion that you had?
You know, the compassion just went with me all the way as I was working through that school. And I started to feel the edge inside me that I need to do something. I need to start something. And at the time I I opened a preschool. And that preschool was done in my backyard. There was a building, like, the double garage building. Then I just work on it and turn it into a preschool. And I was doing that preschool so that I could start develop the kids from that age.
Like a grade R,
Like
even before.
before grade R, from 3 years.
Okay.
I actually started there. I never actually thought about the school yet, but I was just thinking maybe if I try to develop these kids, find a way in which, the easy way in which they could learn, maybe when they go to school, they will start to learn better. They will go better. And as I was working with those kids, I've picked up even more interest. But what actually encouraged me and touched me even more, I went to a conference by the late Miles Monroe. And as I was in that, it was like he was speaking directly to me. And he mentioned just very openly. He said, there is something that God has spoken to you about, and he mentioned the school. It was like, no, it couldn't be. He said, go and start that school. I know you have a lot of fear, but go and start that school. God is going to bless you. I went out there. I was like, I'm not turning back.
Yeah.
I'm not turning back. I don't know how it's going to be, but this is what I'm going to do. And from that point, I started, it was like around middle year, June, I started to look for ways in which I could register the school. It was very difficult because, when you say, I want to register the school, and someone says, who are you? A school? Do you know what a school is? Do you know what it entails?
Do you know what it takes?
Yeah, do you know what it takes? I said, I don't know, but I feel inside me, God says I have to start the school. And I went through the applications. My brother is a lawyer. He helped me through it. And the school was registered. They said for you to start a school, they wanted about 30 kids. It was very difficult to get 30 kids. Because when you tell parents in the preschool that I had, say, look, I'm starting a school, I need you to actually register the kids just to try, see if your kids can actually have a better learning or something that could come up. And parents would not trust you much. But I had actually 14 kids who registered. And I had that is 14 kids from the preschool that I had. They registered for a grade 1 the year before school. And then there were few who registered for grade R. And I started with a grade R and grade 1. And I was alone then. I mixed them. I actually was teaching both, having 2 programs in one, But I had 20 kids.
Multitasking.
Yes, multitasking. Yeah. I had 20 kids. I remember at that time I was like everything to the kids because they are so young, they're not used to the school. I had to be a teacher. I had to go outside, play with them. Because if I don't play with them, they don't know what to do. They sit down, one is crying. I had to go there and take a ball, play with them. and then go back to class and be a teacher and, do all those games with them. But I can tell you one thing. At first, it was a little hard because looking at that and going all through the year, number one, I had to give up my salary as a teacher. Knowing that the kids, 20 kids won't give you the salary. And especially because it's like a trial and error. So people don't want to pay much for something like that. You haven't started, there hasn't been anything of the sort. No one wants to put in that amount of money for that to help. So in other words, I took my pension, I bought the stuff. It wasn't a lot of pension because I resigned. It was not a pension. I was very young. So for resigning,
It's your contribution, basically.
Yes,
that they
contribution.
gave to you, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Because I was very young to actually be on pension. So I took that money. My husband was still alive then. In other words, my husband just supported me financially. In other words, because then I had nothing, and emotionally as well, He encouraged me because at the time he was working in a company, they were working with wood. So I don't know, wooden something. But then he actually asked one guy there if he could donate the wood. I don't know what to call it plank. Wood.
Plank.
Yeah, plank. Yeah. Then the guy donated that, and I had someone constructing and making tables for the kids. And I bought the chairs. Yeah. So the kids were staying there. It was just nice. Some of the parents would visit the school and they would ask me questions like, do you think you're going anywhere with this? Do you think you're going to survive with this? Questions like those. But I didn't really want to entertain such questions because I felt the edge inside me. But
So it continued.
let me
And-
tell you something. It went that year, it was very difficult. Sometimes I would cry alone. I would feel like, what did I just do? Especially when I'm asleep in my bed. But at the end of that year, when the year ended, I had 60 kids. I don't know, those 20 kids, the parents were talking because I saw a lot of improvement in those kids. And I had 60 kids. And I increased a little bit on the school fees. It was very little at the time. School fees was 300 rand.
Yeah.
No,
For the
for the month was 300 rand. Then we increased that to 350. Then there were 60 kids. Then I had one person as well working with me. I hired one lady, and then she started to work with me. And she took the grade 2s. I continued with the grade 1s. And then we continued.
Jelle, and that's while we get there. Okay, so you developed from property to property.
Yes.
You moved.
Yes.
You went to the school there at Silverton,
Yes.
then you went to the industrial
yes,
area,
yes.
and then you moved. Yeah.
Yeah.
But during that time, you also, all throughout, you also actually not only invested into children, but you actually grown teachers. You've developed teachers. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you select them and what happened?
That's a very difficult thing to do because one thing that you need when you are in that space, like I was, you need a teacher that has got the same edge, the same compassion. And it's very hard to get such. Most of the time, you get teachers who just want money and they just come here and they ask you how much you're going to give me. I cannot take that. It's very hard. But God really, really helped me. One of the things that actually I learned from what I had is to actually take the teachers who are young and who are take them as intern to do internship and then develop them and then teach them. And I think while they're watching me see how I do things, they learn from there. then I realized that through God's mercy, I had teachers who had this similar
Feeling.
age, similar.
And then you sent them on courses, got them
Definitely.
registered and
Most of
everything.
them, they would start like in a year, 6 months thereafter, they would register.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So they were literally doing practical
Yes.
and theory
Yes.
sort of in the same space with
That's
the same
right.
time.
That's right.
That's brilliant.
Right. That's right.
That's actually brilliant.
They were doing that. And most of
Getting
them,
experience.
they would do that in a little while. They would pick up a lot of interest and say, I want to go to school. Help me. How do I do it? How do I go? Most of them.
Yeah.
I still have, I think, about 1 or 2 of them that are still here. Most actually have gone. They've got, post in other schools. But
Some
I
has
still have,
started schools as well.
yes, some who were with me. But most of them, I realized that actually that has helped a lot in the youth of the time to take them and then from there get them through school as well.
Yeah.
While they are working, while they are doing practical. It's even much better than going to school and just do theory without the kids. But when we are here, you learn even much more.
And then you had some anchors like Mama D
Yes.
and Kenny.
Yes.
Some anchors in your life that really
Wow.
helped a lot.
Those kids, those people actually came very early in my life when I started. She actually, the lady in the books, in the office, in the administration, she started actually, she came in, she was selling. She came to ask me, I see you don't have a tuck shop, and can I come in and actually during break time, during the lunch time for kids, I could actually give them something, a snack or something, and then they could pay me. I'm also not working. And I said, okay, can come in.
Awesome.
But during the free time, then we would sit and talk and find out what we're doing, where do you come from, what work did you do? And I realized that she once worked for the United Nations and she was in the administration then. And then from that point, when the numbers were increasing, I said, I cannot do the administration with the work in the class. Then I said, would you want to come and help? She said, certainly. And that's when she started to help me. I think it was my second year of working.
Ma'am, this is a Christian college.
Yes,
What do you do different than other schools?
sure.
Because you say you are Shalom Christian college.
Yeah.
With the emphasis on Christian. What is there about this school that's so different?
Very often I actually have watched that we like to, or something that I've seen around, people just name the school, give a name and say Christian school. But also I was like interested into what is it that they do, because Christian means like followers of Christ and do what Christ did. So what is it that they are doing in the school to call the school a Christian school? I actually called this a Christian school because I wanted the school to fully function in the by the word and in the word and following the word, So, and
Wonderful.
and when we started, the South Africa started the what do you call it, where they were actually cancelling the assembly, cancelling the Christianity in the school, saying it must be multi
Oh, yes.
Religious.
religion. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so because of that, we can't choose any, so we can't take any. So in other words,
No Bible,
no Bible, no
prayers.
prayer, nothing, because
Nothing.
then it must be multi, otherwise we can't. So at the time, but I actually, because I registered as a Christian school, and parents wrote the kids because of the very same thing, because then we continued with assembly, we continued with praying, we continued with teaching the kids of the word of God.
Got a Bible day. I remember.
Yes. We have the Bible day every year, whereby kids actually kind of do something in front of the parents, what they are learning throughout the year from the Word of God. They would do the Christian dance. They would do the Bible verses. Some would actually speak the extracts from the Bible, but they actually do that to present it.
Sing, some sing.
Some sing, that's right. She
Mm.
knows it is one of them,
Wow.
yes. Some sing, and so we do it. Parents love it. We have it every year, once in a year. We have that function in the school.
It's like the school play, but it's
Yes,
a
yes.
Bible focused.
It's a Bible
day.
focus, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and on that day, we would invite one or someone who is actually in the ministry, the pastor or someone who's coming to speak to the kids. Yeah.
Ma'am Jelly, what is the exact location here? Just for the listeners, what's the exact location? Yeah, and what is the telephone number of the school?
Wow.
Sorry. Put you on the spot here.
Yeah, you put me on the spot because the telephone number, I don't know it off by head. I can give you my cell
Okay.
phone number. But this is like much more, our neighbors is the Silverton houses at the back.
Hmm.
That is
So it's between Silverton and Mamelodi and the industrial
in
area.
the industrial area. Yeah, that's right.
In the
So
center.
somehow I found the location to be much close to all because we've got a feeder from the kids from Silverton,
Mhm.
kids from Near Mafias, kids from Mamelodi, kids from Easters.
Oh, okay. From
those
all
kids,
the area,
all
the
these
whole
areas,
surrounding
yes,
area.
around here. So kids, and it's much easier, and I think it's closer to all those areas.
It's
They
central.
feed us. Yes, central, very
It
central.
is central. Now that you mention that, the location of the school is very strategic.
Yes,
And you probably picked this piece of ground not knowing how it's going to actually
believe
be.
me, we didn't pick it. Like,
What happened?
Can I just tell that story because that's a very
Please. We've got
nice
time.
story to hear.
Yeah.
When I started the school, first it was a preschool in my backyard. Then I moved, I didn't have a location. Then I went to the Mamelodi Ikaheng Hall.
Yeah.
The Ikaheng Hall has got rooms around. You know, it's a hall in the middle, and there's like those little rooms. I don't know what they use them for. Yes. Like a Sunday school thing. Yes, kind of. So then I actually hired a space there. I rented the space there. They gave me the space. They gave me one room when I started. And the following year, they gave me the second room. But then, after that year, someone picked up some white lady I didn't know. She just dropped in by the school and she told me her name and she said to me, look, we've seen and we've heard about what we are doing. Because during the time, there were no private school at all. It was almost the first, especially black one,
Yeah.
you know, in Mamelodi.
Yeah.
So they came, they said, we heard about you. So she introduced herself and said, we are interested, but then maybe we may want to work with you. Then I said, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. But then she said to me, but the location in which you are is not really right because now the kids are actually many, much more than they're supposed to be. And, you know, this was the hall, and there would be a lot of coming in and out people.
That was an ideal.
Yeah. Sometimes it would really disturb the learning and sometimes disturb the kids, you know, all those stuff. So then she then suggested that there is a building that is actually used to belong to the Silverton High School. And they're not using it anymore. And then she said, I've spoken to the principal, and she said, we can rent that space. And I said, oh, great, wonderful. That's when I moved to actually Silverton. But during that year, when I moved to Silverton, it was my third year, and I had like 150 learners already.
Ooh, okay.
Then I moved to Silverton, and then we occupied that space. That's where I got to know Vessel. Because he was staying very close to the school. So he came to check us. Yeah, and he actually found interest in kids. And we started to work together. He helped the kids with art. Wow, it was like beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Ma'am Jelle. Okay, so Ma'am Jelle, during your move to come to this property, I remember we came to this property one day, Liesel, and a couple of teachers, when we prayed there in the front there,
Beautiful.
over this property for the 99-year lease with the municipality.
Beautiful.
And actually, Liesel was very instrumental in believing that this is God's will. And we prayed that day over this property, and then God granted it for you. So then you moved here, and we had a couple of prefab buildings. You had a couple of prefab buildings, but then some hijackers wanted to come and to hijack your vision.
Yo.
Tell us a bit about that. Because, you know, when somebody's got a vision, and this is for my listener, maybe God puts something in your heart, and somebody comes and hijacks your vision. Listen to what Ma'am Jelle is telling us.
Look, a lot happened along the way. A lot happened.
Mm.
Let me start from when I moved to actually Silverton with the lady who actually asked to work with me. I moved and I worked there before I actually met Vessel. During that year, it was my third year of functioning. My husband passed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mm.
And remember, he was supporting me. And then he passed on, and I was all by myself now with the children. It was the hardest time of my life.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Mm.
But God was actually good. But you know, during the time when my husband passed, there were things that actually happened. Like the lady who actually worked with me, now she said to me, look, do you think you want to come back to work in the school? Because, you know, I was just so fragile at the time. And she actually felt like, look, I could take over the school. Or I could give you something, a little amount of money, and then you can continue. Then I could take over the school. It almost happened that way. I just don't know. It's only God. When God protects a dream, He does.
He does.
Because at the time I was very fragile. I felt like, oh, well, I can give up anything, you know, that time.
Mm.
And during that time, after I actually denied that, there was then a problem with the Department of Education. They had a problem with the Silverton High School. So they were the person who was the district director at the time. He actually was so much fighting with the high school because they wanted to sort of started another black school close to the school in the premise in which I was actually renting. And the principal did not want, because he knew that it's going to be a very difficult thing to have two high schools close to each other like that.
So it was going to be like a takeover. You wanted to take over the other one to merge.
I think so.
Yes.
I think so. That's what they wanted.
Oh, tactics.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was like the hardest thing ever, because the principal came straight to me and said, look, I've been working very well and peacefully with you, but with these people, I cannot go on. I have to release you so that they can take the place the way they want to. So then that's when actually I had to move. It was the most difficult part, because then I did not have a space. I moved to the industrial area down the road.
I remember that.
And we had
Second floor.
you know, the
And
kids
you had
going.
how many kids at that stage?
There were like 220
Very
kids.
difficult.
200 kids.
220
Where do
kids.
you go?
A very difficult season.
In a like flat like kind of thing, you know. It was like very, very, very difficult to just continue.
Nah.
We were there for about 2 years, and the rent was like terrible, was very high. We couldn't afford. I didn't know what to do. I lost teachers. I lost kids. Parents did not like the place.
Yeah.
It was just, I felt like, oh, my dream is coming to an end anyway. I don't know if God, it's what you want. Well, I'll take it at the time.
Yeah.
But then, Kenneth, the guy was just here now.
Kenny, yes, Kenneth.
Yeah, he was with me already. He said to me, we can't. I will go to the mayor's office and I'm going to go down on my knees and ask the mayor's office and said, we are losing jobs and we are trying something to help the society. Would you do something for us?
Wonderful, yeah.
And he went. And you know what? God's mercy. And the lady was like, did you see anything? Did you find any land? Go check. If you do, come back to me. And then Kenneth went and he found this. And then he went back to the mayor.
Wow.
And the mayor was like, I'm working on it. That's when the mayor started to request the offices to start working on paperwork
Yeah.
to give us this piece of land so that we could be here. It was like, I don't know, a wild place without fence, without anything.
No buildings.
No building, nothing.
Ooh.
And when we started to come here, no systems. I didn't know what I was going to do. Sewage system, electricity. There was nothing. And we had to come here. We found a company that says we could actually rent you the building, those classes, those mobile classes. We can actually give you those one. Then you can pay us monthly for that.
Yes.
We agreed to that company, and then we came here. We put the kids, but it was like, in the wilderness. I think in the wilderness because there was nothing, and we had to get the mobile toilets. It was like hard,
Oh.
mobile toilets that could actually be cleaned there would be a truck that comes to clean up those toilets
every week.
Yes, every week. It was hard. It was hard. But God is so merciful. While we were here, people come. There were companies who come and said, but we see you have the kids here. How do you function? There's no fence. What if anybody comes in here and just take a kid or whatever?
Yeah.
People just come, companies come and say, we could put a fence just along the street, along the main road, because it's more dangerous. And one company would come and just put a fence there. I remember the company next door, which is still here today. They came in and said, look, how do you work here? We could give at least electricity for the office so that you can at least function properly. Yeah. And they gave us electricity for the office. And we started to work with their electricity. Things just went on, and I just saw the mercies of God all the way.
Wow.
God's merciful was there. Like Mr. Vessel has just actually indicated that on the time it happened in 2013, I lost my son again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
18 years old. There was like the worst of all. There I felt like I don't want to do anything. I don't want to work. I don't want to continue.
I'm done.
Yes. And God, sometimes you feel like God, you don't care. You just don't care. After all this, and this is what you do. And that's when actually the hijacking came in. Because then somebody came in and said, while I was there at home, the person felt like, no, but I can work with the school. And he came in and he introduced himself as an evangelist. He's an evangelist and he can work with the school. I trusted the person and I thought I could work with him. But I realized during the time as the man was working and as I was home, that the man is actually trying to hijack the school. Because soon thereafter he told me, no, we need to go and sign the papers. We need to sign this person. You need to sign that you are giving me the authority and all that.
Take over the school.
over the
Hijack your vision.
What?
Yes.
Oh, man.
It just happened. And at that point, I actually did. Yes, actually did. But I still believe, and I will believe forever, that when God has actually put something and has put the dream in you, He's never going to let anybody hijack or take it. He's never.
Praise
He will
the Lord.
make sure
Praise
that
the Lord.
actually,
Wow.
Praise the Lord.
yes.
Hallelujah.
Wonderful.
And here you are. And what's the needs? I think your biggest need now is maybe a school hall and additional administrative block.
Definitely.
There at the side which we are talking about. That's the real need, isn't
Definitely.
that? And then this area can also be an additional classroom.
That's right. I am very much happy that you are bringing that up, because if you actually could see there, we have actually, we are always walking there. And I'm happy that today we are going to be praying there on that for the hall, because that is the main, because we don't want to just end up being a school, but we also want to be a school, but also involve the whole community and society to come and worship God. So if having the hall, we could actually have even such for the people.
Yes.
You know, we always have the parents for the Parents' Day, and usually on that day there's so many people. And just to see how excited, and at the end when the preaching has been done, to see the people receiving and accepting Christ is like really, really touchy.
Yes.
It's very touchy. So I feel in most cases we don't have a place of our own. We would hire the hall, then we would like go to a place not here, around the school, and it's a little bit difficult.
You know, practically speaking, 300 kids means 600 parents.
Yes.
You
And
need
remember,
space.
parents, yes.
You need space.
And parents, sometimes they come like two and they invite, because they like it. Every parent would like to invite somebody and say, come and see what my child is doing. And then they come in numbers, and we have that big event once in a year. And so because of that, we struggle really with the hall. We feel that if we can get a hall of our own and people coming here at the school for that event and other event, of course, it would be much, much better. We would love that. That's one of the greatest things that we need. Obviously, of course, the administration office, we would love to have a much more, bigger one that is much more separated, and where you can have like more or less, have your people and not.
All their staff can come in and
That's right.
gather and have meetings.
That's right, like in a
tea
staff room.
room.
Yes, the tea
Staff
room.
room,
Yeah,
yes.
that's right.
And would you say that's your prayer request as well for us? Because we always extend when we interview people, what prayer
My
requests.
prayer request, definitely. My prayer
it?
request for the
If you
whole-
want to,
I
just for my listener, if you want to get involved with Shalom Christian College, here's a telephone number of the administrative office, which you can phone during the week between the hours of 8 and 1 o'clock. It's 012 945 7463. Shalom Christian College, 012 945 7463.
I just want to bring something to your attention about what God actually had done to us as a school. We have a kid here at school. I'll specifically speak about him because we've seen much more of God's grace. But that one I'll specifically, because really it's touching.
Yes.
He's still here at school. He's a little boy. His name is Amogelang. He came here at school with like acute autism. Acute, you know what I mean, at its fullest. When the boy came to the school, it was very hard to work with the boy. We did not know. It was this kid who actually would want to, while the class is on, he would go there and sit outside and be playing in the, in the dust. And he didn't want to stay in a like cleaner place. You know what? He would go into the dust area and he would go there and start to play with the soil.
Sure.
We would like call him Amogelang, and he was not speaking. He wasn't speaking. He would be very quiet. He would just act and react on things. Sometimes he would go to class. He was in this class next door. He would actually go to class and he would sit down, and while they are maybe having the coloring, and he would start to yell and take a pen, scratch, tear the book, and just make a mess in class. And the kids would be so much afraid of him. They would try to stay far from him.
Mm.
I saw God's mercy in this kid. He went, it did 2 years. He came to the school, he was 3 years. When the boy was 5, he started to be much calmer. And we actually normally they sing the song, and in the morning they sing the gospel songs, and then they act to the songs. They make actions to the songs, and then they start to learn. So once Amogelang started to act with the other kids, when they jump to the song, they do. Pastor, so Amogelang is jumping and is doing what the other kids, but he's not singing still. And then they would sit down and they would write, they would not write. But the testimony I want to bring about the boy is that this boy is in the school, is doing grade 3. This boy can talk. This boy can write. This boy plays with all the other kids. He loves school.
Wonderful.
The father cannot actually believe. He cannot believe. He said, other schools, they always ask, where is Amogelang? How did you get Amogelang to be able to do this? I really don't know. I just feel God's mercy. Because when you pray in the school or for the school, sometimes you have a particular kid, one kid, and you make a special prayer. When I go, I just call him when I pray. And I say, Lord, I want to pray for Amogelang. And I want you to do a miracle with Amogelang. And I saw God did it. And I learned that when there's anything, sometimes we've got issues like kids that have gone through some difficult situation at home. Like maybe lately we had a kid which actually had a problem. That kid was sexually abused by the uncle. So the kid comes to the school and is not really doing well. You can see the kid. Such kids, I make a special prayer. I don't want to generalize them. I just call their name and say, God, here is this kid. I want you to totally heal the child, totally bring the child back to be a kid again and be able to learn like normal. And I've seen God working wonders. I've seen God doing it.
That is so wonderful. That's so special.
Mem Jelly, we've got one of your pupils here. What's her
Yes.
name again?
Kiabetswe.
I
Kiabetswe
want to ask John
Moloisane.
to have a few words with her.
Very, very clever girl. She's been with the school for many years, 6 years right now.
John, you want?
Right, hi. Well, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, most welcome.
So I'm going to ask your teacher here to be a bit deaf at the moment. So what do you think about the school?
Shalom is a very nice, interesting, and a very building school. The teachers don't only love us, but are always there for us through everything that we go through. They'll never leave us nor forsake us, the same way our God will never.
Is there anything they can do better?
Anything I can do better?
Well, they can do better to help you learn.
I don't think there's anything because they're doing all that they can, the most that they can. Yeah.
Yes, good. Well, thanks for. And what do you want to do eventually? Have you any plans for your life?
All I know is that I want to be my self-owned businesswoman. And yeah, that's all I think I'm gonna do in the future for now.
Yeah. Well, somebody once said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. You know? And there's a lovely verse in the Old Testament which God's a promise to you and to all of us. God says to you, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That's the book of Jeremiah. I'll let you look that up.
Yeah,
I think it's a tremendous promise that God knows what he wants to do. And he's got wonderful plans for you. And, you know, he's going to be, if you follow those plans, it's going to be a really interesting and successful life. So God bless you. And, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so have you got any interests in sport? What sport do you do? Tell us.
I most preferably play netball.
Netball.
Yes, I'm the goal attack.
Okay. Okay. And do you have any other, shall we say, hobbies that you like doing?
Hobbies. Well, all I do is just like chill with my friends when I'm
Okay.
not doing anything.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Social media hobbies.
No.
No. Okay. 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 Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, Ma'am Jelle, that is wonderful. Just for now, how many teachers are here now? How many teachers do you have, and how many kids?
I usually count it. I usually say the staff because
The staff,
all
your staff.
the
Let's
staff
call
that
all
I-
your staff. What's the
I
staff
have-
count?
I have 19.
19
I'm the 20.
staff members.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm the 20. Yeah,
And how many kids?
it's 300. I think 20. I think it's
300 plus minus
Yeah, plus
320.
Yeah.
From 20 to plus minus 300.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's close to about 20 kids a class. 15 to 20
Yeah,
kids a
yeah.
class.
Somehow, yeah. But they're not the same. We find that one class has got more, one has got like lesser. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, through the
Yes,
grades.
Yes,
yeah,
the
I
grades. Yeah.
understand.
Well, it's our desire and it's our prayer that God would greatly bless this school. And we are going to pray about that hall and that administration block today, even.
I appreciate it, and I believe that
Yes,
God.
and thank you very much for our pupil. What's her name again?
Kiabetsui?
Yeah.
Kiabetsui.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You are in grade
7.
grade 7. You're leaving the end of the year.
Oh, no.
Oh no. Secondary school is waiting for you.
Yeah. it
Wonderful.
is.
Wonderful. Well, praise God. Thank you, Ma'am Jelle, for the interview today. May God richly bless you.
Thank you so much
And
for coming.
may your vision just go from strength to strength. And may God bless you.
I receive it.
Amen.
Thank you so
Amen.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.